everybody, Lloyd Carter here from Wing Magma. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to episode 10 of the Wing Magma podcast, where we discuss all things Wing Magma and also the Wednesday Wang playlist that I'm curating over on Spotify. If you are a fan of this type of thing, you can interact with me in many different ways. Instagram at Wing Magma, YouTube at Wing Magma. Over on Spotify, if you search for the Wednesday Wang playlist, you'll find it there. But equally, there are two versions of the Wing Magma podcast. One version is a straight up podcast, and the other is more like a radio show with the playlist tracks interspaced. Please get involved. Yeah. So, without further ado, track number 1 on the playlist, Memory Holes by Wing Magma. Memory Holes by Wing Magma. So, I hope you enjoyed that. How are things? It's been a while since I've done anything for a couple of reasons. Like my main laptop, which is here, which I do all of my recording and editing on, is dying. It's quite old now, so I need to get that amended. I'm using a different laptop now to record onto, but I've got no means to edit it, so haven't figured that bit out yet, so I'm sure there'll be a way. I've figured out worse things before and survived. So yeah, it's been a few weeks, and it's been a busy few weeks for a number of reasons. Music wise, lots going on with Bronze Age. I've had a couple of Bronze Age practices since the last time we spoke, and there are a few bits and bobs going on with Wing Magma and how I'm changing what Wing Magma is. So I'll start with Wing Magma, but I think I've mentioned, anyone that's been following this, I want to change what the Wing Magma project is all about, and I just want it to be a bit more of a natural musical expression for me. So I think before it was about writing songs and making sure my songs were a certain type of thing, and I've got another one in the bag that's ready to go that I like. After I spent all the money that I spent on it and all the time that I'd put into it, I listened back to it, it's just like, I don't think that's really what I'm about, so I haven't put it out for that reason. And instead what I've been doing is just starting from scratch, just coming up with brand new ideas, and completely hitting the reset button. So I wouldn't really be able to say what kind of genre it is or anything like that, but there are a couple of hurdles there as well. So the first hurdle is that where I used to live, I had a pretty decent recording setup, and now in my new house, the garage is there's just no soundproofing whatsoever where I am, so I'm having to think of different ways to write and record and whatnot. This week I'm off work because it was my birthday on Monday, so today is Wednesday, so a couple of days ago it was my birthday, so I've had this week off work to do a few bits around the house, and each day I've kind of put aside a little bit of time to write music, whether that's just on my guitar, into my phone, or I've just been gathering ideas. And on Friday I have got time booked out at Pirate Studios just to go in and record, and it's kind of be like, that's going to be my working day. It's booked 8 till 4, and I'm just going to go in, take my things and just record, just see what happens. I'm not intending on coming out with a fully baked track. If I do, bonus, but it's more just kind of get the ideas down, and maybe I come away and poke them about a little bit and then move them forward. But I'm excited about that, and like I say, it's the idea of going to a studio, not with nothing, but with a relatively blank canvas, rather than I'm going to record this song, which I've had with me for the last 10 years. I'm just taking ideas and then, see what happens when I get there. So quite excited about that. But on the Bronze Age front, I think last time I put a podcast out, I was about to go to the first practice. We've had a couple now. and it's been really, really decent. So we've got a new drummer, and he is Ace. He's a fantastic drummer. And he really suits what we're doing. But it was just the process of being in a rehearsal room. There was just all sorts of familiar kind of aspects of being in that scenario that I hadn't felt or experienced for a long time. So for one bit in particular on our first rehearsal, there was a particular bit in a particular track, which will be the next track on the playlist, that we were trying to figure out, and it was right at the end. There's a certain rhythm that I hadn't really thought about consciously for a while, and I was trying to kind of figure that rhythm out and then explain it to Dave, the drummer, and we're just kind of going round and round and round, just trying to work on this one little bit. Martin and Tin, and I think they walked out of the room for a little bit, but that it was just that kind of right. No, let's go again. Let's nail this little bit. I couldn't tell you if Dave had a great time, but there was just something about just working on this little bit until it was right that I really enjoyed. Like, I don't know, like I used to spend a lot of time with Danny, our drummer. Like sometimes we just go to rehearsals just for ourselves, just to work on certain rhythms, and once we got those fundamentals in place and how they interact with the guitar parts, then you can build thereafter. So it was just being that intricate and being that detail orientated with music in a rehearsal situation is not a situation I've been in for a long time. And like I say, it was refreshing, it was challenging, but it was just brilliant at the same time. So that was our first rehearsal. The next rehearsal, Tinnen couldn't make it because Tinnen's son wasn't very well. So it was just me, Martin, and Dave, and we played a few of the tracks, but it was a bit more. Let's just mess around, see what happens. And I took a few ideas to the room, and a few ideas kind of sprang out of nowhere. But like, so with Pirate, we get a recording of our session. You know, I think they've just got 2 microphones in the room somewhere, and you can listen afterwards. You get an MP4 of your session. And at the time when we were coming up with these ideas, I think there's lots of little insecurities that were at play. Like, I was bringing ideas, and I feel like I'm directing traffic in a rehearsal room, and like we're playing ideas, and if I'm just constantly thinking, are they digging this? Are they into this? Is this doing anything? Is this going anywhere? Should we try something else? What do we want to do? I think Dave is still finding his feet, not as a musician. I think, you know, he's more than adequate as a musician, but I think he's still trying to find his way within this new band. You know, we don't really know Dave that well. I think he's got a previous friendship with Tiernan, but we're still getting to know him on a personal level, and he's also trying to find his feet on a musicianship level. And it's got to be intimidating to kind of go into a set of pre-existing relationships. So he's got that going on whilst he's trying to, you know, be musically productive. Martin is kind of relearning. He's relearning his instrument, and he's thinking about singing and stuff like that. So there's just all of this going on when you're in the moment, when you're trying to play. So there's lots of doubt about what you're doing and how that's going. When I listen back to it, some of it was ace. Some of it was so good, especially what Dave was doing. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna, next practice that we've got, I'm just gonna try and be a little bit more. I don't know how you can switch that bit off in yourself, you know, that kind of self-doubt bit, but just try and have a little bit more faith and trust in what we're doing. You know, that we're all grown-ups and we're all here for the same reasons, to write good music. we're not judging each other in the same kind of ways as I used to feel I was being judged. I don't know. Just have more fun and try and worry less. If anybody knows how to do that, let me know. On that note, the second track of the playlist is Regolith by Bronze Age. This is the track that we were working on, that we were struggling with. Wait till the end. Hopefully you'll see the bit that we were kind of struggling with. Regolith by Bronze Age. Okay, cool. That was Regolith by Bronze Age. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So next track on the playlist is Master of Puppets by Metallica. You might think that this is a little bit of a weird one. But again, back in the rehearsal room, I don't know who started it, whether it was Tiernan or me. Tiernan was just playing every single Metallica song that he knew, and like there was quite a few of them. And then like I started playing Master of Puppets, and what I could remember of playing Master of Puppets, I think I learnt it when I was about 12 or 13. I started learning certain songs by certain bands, but then whenever it got difficult and I couldn't play it, rather than persist, I just gave up. And I never really learned music that way. I was always kind of more about making up my own stuff. Because it's less difficult to get your own stuff wrong versus trying to play something that Kurt Hammett or James Hetfield plays. So we just messed about with it, and jokingly I said I'm going to learn that song because I've never been that type of person to sit down and learn a song. But I found a PDF of Master of Puppets guitar tabs, and I've started learning Master of Puppets, and oh my god, it's fun to play. It's tough. I've got about 2/3 of the way through it. I'm about to start learning all the solos and stuff like that. Whether I can do it or not, I've never really tested myself like that. I think I probably could, but like I say, it's never been my bag to learn and play like that. I know there's some people that's how they learn, and it's a legit way of doing it. I mean, like there's riffs and chord sequences and just sequences of notes that are unfamiliar and to me, which I feel is good because it's expanding my kind of my arsenal that I go to when I'm writing riffs, I guess. So I'm gonna see it through. I'm gonna try and learn it and possibly see if we can play it in the covers band that I'm in. That might be fun. But so that has been in relatively heavy rotation over the past couple of weeks. So Master of Puppets by Metallica. Love that track. Such a huge fan of it, and it's such a great metal song. Like I'd struggle to think of a better one. You know, I wouldn't say I'm a historian on the genre, but what a track. Very progressive, very technical, very melodic, very thematic in its kind of lyrics and stuff like that. Banger, absolute banger. Okay, next track on the playlist, going back in time a little bit again. Citizen Erased by Muse. So this came up, I think I was, no particular reason, I was just going to Spotify, you know, what's going on, and they're releasing a 20th anniversary edition of Origin of Symmetry. Now I loved that album when it came out. It's one of these, I think I was just getting into Muse. I think they played in Leicester, so I think they played at the Charlotte when they were touring the single Muscle Museum. And Martin went to see them, and Martin bought Muscle Museum, I'm pretty sure he did. And he was just like, check these guys out. Oh god, stop. Sorry. And he was like, yeah, you should check these guys out. And I remember there being lots of Radiohead comparisons. I think it's because he's got that Jeff Buckley falsetto kind of style of singing, which is, you could say, is a bit similar to Tom York, and they were kind of dark and moody in a similar kind of way. And then I can't remember what came first. I think I saw them at Glastonbury 2000, and they were on the Pyramid stage, and they were low down the pecking order at that point. I can't remember if they were before or after Idlewild, but they were nowhere near the top of, you know, they became this behemoth, and this was before that. So, and I remember thinking, oh my god, they're really heavy, and they were playing a bunch of tracks that I didn't know, and it was just like, they're kicking ass. And then Origin of Symmetry came out, and whether it was a conscious 180 against all of these Radiohead comparisons that they were, you know, they were getting, but it was just like, yeah, they've got some big, massive, dirty riffs, but again, very progressive, and you definitely go on a journey when you listen to Origin of Symmetry. So they had tracks like Plug-in Baby, and I can't remember what the other big hit was, Newborn, I think it was. But then something like Citizen Erased on the album was more like, okay, these guys are more than just they're completely not who they're being compared to. They're doing their own kind of thing, and it's exciting and it's different. And I think I bought Origin of Symmetry on the day it came out, and this was back when I was at Leicester College, so I'll probably mention Leicester College a bunch of times, you know, hanging out with some of the Tie Dye guys, and I'm pretty sure I bought it, and then we listened to it in our studio at college. So fond memories of that. Couldn't believe it'd been 20 years. It's a remastered version. I don't know how it's different, but still a good track. So Citizen Erased, Muse, 20 years, yo. Citizen Erased, Muse. So next track is another little bit of a throwback. So Chop Suey, System of a Down. So I can't remember what I was looking at on YouTube, but this video came up, and it started going into how Chop Suey was written. And there's a certain part in Chop Suey. It's one of these tracks that's been around. I love that track. I've loved it for years and years and years. And I'm not sure how I missed what it's genuinely about. I mean, like, I kind of got a certain vibe about what it's about, in terms, you know, thematically. They're talking about self-righteous suicide, you know, so like you understand that it's something to do with a suicide. Chop Suey, suicide, all that. So yeah, I got it to an extent, but when I watched this video, there's a line in the track, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit, and it's kind of like a bit of a bridge to the end. And I don't know the names of the people in the band, but the singer was struggling to make that link to the end of the song, and they were recording with Rick Rubin, and Rick Rubin, they were kind of butting their heads. They couldn't find it. Rick Rubin took them away from the scenario and took them back to his house, and in his house there's this library, and Rick Rubin sort of said, just, you know, have a look, see if there's anything around that inspires you. And he just randomly picked a book off the shelf, opened it up, and just stuck his finger, and Father, into your hands I commend my spirit was the line that he found. And then because they were talking about, and then, like, so in this documentary, the guitar player was talking about how society is kind of labelled suicide in such a negative way, yet I think this song was about becoming closer to God or something like that. But then, and it's just like, wow, like, just to kind of be thinking about suicide on that kind of level was just like really kind of whoa. And then the Father, into your hands I commend my spirit, why have you forsaken me? So then the song becomes about somebody that felt that they were committing suicide to become closer to God, but then God rejects them. It's just like, oh my God, why have I never thought about this song like that? Because that's essentially what. Well, I don't think they ever really say this is what it's about, but I'd never considered the song on a religious kind of level. It's certainly Why Have You Forsaken Me on a religious level. And it was just like, when a song that you're that familiar with, you've got a relationship with historically. Like, I've got lots of fond memories around that song. 20 odd years later, it takes a completely new spin. It's like, that's pretty cool, and that's why Chop Suey has made the playlist this week. So Chop Suey, System of a Down. Chop Suey, System of a Down. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and apologies if I've taken things down a slightly morbid track, but you know, that, let's say that was what I was. It's changed in my kind of perception now, and whether I'm just late to the party, I probably am. Whether you guys already knew that, I don't know. It was a completely different shift on that song for me. So then I've got a few tracks that kind of came up randomly whilst I was shopping. I had like one of the For You mixes on Spotify, and just a few tracks came up that I liked as I was listening to them. So the first one is by a band called Heavy Lungs, and it's called Birthday, a bit of a birthday. So I tell you what I did like about this. There's a lot of energy to the riffs. They're kind of big, heavy riffs. Vocals come in. I'm not too fussed about when the vocals come in, and this is usually where I forget a band or not. Like, sometimes you have to persist with the vocals, but like, really, like, that's, it could be heads or tails for me. Like with a band, if I don't get on with the vocals, I can dismiss them quite easily. I like this track. I'm going to try and find out a little bit more about Heavy Lungs, but yeah, vocals. Let me know what you think. Heavy Lungs, Birthday. That was Heavy Lungs with Birthday. What do you guys think? Were you okay with the vocals? Am I making someone out of nothing? Possibly, very possibly. So then the next track, like, what a name for a band. Hold on, I'm gonna have to read this one because it's Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. So wacky, so wacky. Cubensis Lenses. So this is another one that came on, and I was just kind of, I really liked the production on it, really liked the riffs. Vocals I was alright with. Kind of sounded a bit Tame Impala. I tell you what it sounded like to me. It was a bit like Alex Turner from Arctic Monkeys, produced by Tame Impala. I quite liked it. Interesting, bit different for me. What do you guys think? Have a listen, let me know. Cubensis Lenses by Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So another band that I think I was listening to all of these in Sainsbury's, you know, just minding my own business, just doing my shopping. Paranoid Void is the band, and the track is called Redo. This is a little bit like some of the Japanese math rock that I was listening to a few weeks back, so I don't know if that's why I've been recommended it. I don't know anything about the band, but it's very clean guitar parts with, you know, nice delay work, very mathy, very chilled. Really enjoyed it. Hit the like button, and now it's made it to the playlist. So Paranoid Void, Redo. That was Paranoid Void with Redo. Okay, so slightly different genre now. So this is Wave Shaper with 33 megahertz. So Wave Shaper, Wave Shaper are a synthwave band. I found out about them around Christmas because there was like a synthwave version of Walking in the Air by Wave Shaper, and it was just like, started off being funny. I was just like, actually, this is banging. Like Walking in the Air, as in, you know, the Aled Jones or whoever originally done it, from the Snowman. Beautiful, haunting track. Like the melodies and everything in there is just fantastic. This synthwave version, like I say, it starts off, oh haha, it's a synthwave cover, but it's ace, so good. And so then they recommended this track to me, and like, I can just eat up this genre. They all sound pretty similar, but like, I like them all for the same reason. It just reminds me of playing Amiga games. Like, I could have been playing Silkworm or, you know, or another Amiga game. But have a listen. I hope you guys enjoy it too. Excuse me. "33 megahertz" by Wave Shaper. I hope you enjoyed that. So I'm trying to get a bit influenced for Bronze Age. Where could we take Bronze Age? What should I, you know, how can I want to kind of step things up, and I do want, we're all in it to make more music. You know, we don't just want to kind of play the hits and then leave. We want to continue this band. And Dave, maybe, well, I think we all like heavier stuff, but it's just, how can we do it with a Bronze Age kind of slant on things. And a few months ago, James Collins recommended Raketkanon to me, and that resurfaced on some of these playlists. And the track "Herman" by Raketkanon, I could really entertain that as something that Bronze Age do. I'm not just going to kind of rip it off, but like the kind of the tension building up, and then you just got this big audacious kind of riff, and then it's back to the tension, and then the riff comes back, and then it goes somewhere else, and it, like, just that as a structure for bringing in big powerful riffs, I'm all for, and I'm certainly going to try it. But yes, have a listen to "Herman" by Raketkanon. Imagine Bronze Age doing something similar. "Herman" by Raketkanon. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Filthy, love it. The album's banging as well. So like, if you haven't listened to it, I think it's just called Raketkanon 1 or something like that. Definitely worth a go. So next track on the playlist is "Live at the Apocalypse Cabaret" by the Blood Brothers. I always thought it was Blood Brothers, but if you search Blood Brothers on Spotify, it comes up as the Blood Brothers. Pretty sure it's just Blood Brothers. Another huge influence on me back in the day. Crimes was huge. The album Crimes, so colourful and vibrant and dark, and like nothing else that I was listening to at that time, but it had the same energy as some of the other bands that I was into. Massively went in, like, so the Blood Brothers influence really went into public relations exercise, you know, as we started, certainly as Spencer joined, you know, we started thinking more along that kind of energy, and fantastic band. I picked this album up again because I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and it's, if you've never listened to it, buckle up. It's not for everyone. Again, like what I was saying earlier about vocals, these vocals can grate on people, but like the dual vocals, there's a lot of dynamic and there's a lot of texture in what they do. Some of it is quite screaming, and you know, obviously that's not everybody's taste, but like, if you can get on board with that, there's like this crooning kind of thing that they have going on, and then Johnny Whitney is just does acrobats with his vocals. So much going on there, and lyrically they're phenomenal. I mean, like, just this was back when CDs were a thing and you could read lyrics and stuff. It was just like there'd be little lines dotted around the inlay and stuff like that. Fantastic stuff. I've chose Live at the Apocalypse Cabaret as my track from the album to kind of represent the album, because it used to be my ringtone back in 2004, 2005. Still switches something on in my head when I hear that. Have a listen. Enjoy. Live at the Apocalypse Cabaret by Blood Brothers, not the Blood Brothers. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So another thing that I was watching on, I think I actually watched this on iPlayer. I saw there was something to do with Noel Gallagher. He's got his greatest hits coming out for High Flying Birds, Back the Way We Came. So he was on Jules Holland, had some sort of show where Noel Gallagher picked the bands, and there are a few kind of obvious ones on there. I think there was a track by Strokes, the Coral, so the bass player from the Coral plays bass for High Flying Birds, Zootons, so like kind of noughties indie. It was just like, yeah, okay. But then he mentioned a band called Young Fathers. Now, like, I may have completely missed the boat with Young Fathers, never heard of these guys, but like they did a track called Toy live on Jules Holland, and it was just like, wow, this is incredibly energetic. There's all sorts of influences kind of going into one pot, and then out comes something completely fresh. And I think that's what they were talking about, like between Noel Gallagher and Jules Holland. It was just like, it's very difficult to pigeonhole them because they're not the sum. They're not the, what's the phrase? They're more than the sum of their parts. They've chucked in all of these different influences, and then something else has come out that has this energy, this lyrical darkness. There's riddled with hooks. You know, I'm a sucker for a hook. But what a find! Like, Noel Gallagher is one of these people. Like, I think some people will just kind of switch off. Like, Oasis are divisive, I guess, you know, but like, I think anyone really would struggle to deny what they did on their first couple of albums. Noel Gallagher was a huge influence on me early doors, and I still get a lot of joy from early Oasis stuff. And he's just one of these people that whenever he's being interviewed, there's a few people that really help, they verbalize things in a way that I don't verbalize, but like it's not that I just agree, it's just like that what you're saying resonates with me fundamentally. Like, I didn't say those things, but genuinely that's how I feel about it too. And he's one of those guys. John Frusciante is another one of those guys that just helps to verbalize some thoughts that I have about certain things. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But like, whenever, like, I love interviews with Noel Gallagher because he usually has something valuable for me. And yeah, he didn't fail to deliver. Young Fathers are a great band. I've gone back and listened to Cocoa Sugar and one of their other albums, White Men Are Black Men 2. White Men Are Black Men 2. Some really interesting stuff there. Have a listen to this track, but like, this is, out of all of the tracks that I've shared, this has been my favourite find since the last time we spoke. So this is Toy by Young Fathers. Okay, and then I've got a couple of late additions to the playlist this week. So this morning I came into this room and I find that I'm more creative first thing in the morning. So I go walk the dogs, and then if I've still got some time after I've got the kids' breakfast, like, I just start playing guitar and see what happens. And there's this kind of go-to riff that I have. I don't know what it is. But I play it, and I think I can't really write anything with that because I know that it's something else. And I was going to record it and send it to a few of my friends and so I'd say, who is this? What is this riff? And I thought that might make some interesting Instagram content. So I put it out on Instagram and just like said, who is this? And a couple of people came back to me with their ideas as what it is. Somebody said that it sounds like a System of a Down track. I don't know which one. I've asked them, they've not replied to me yet. Then somebody called, what was their name? I wrote it down. Niflay said that it sounded like a track by Shame, which it very well could be because Shame were a band that I listened to quite a lot 2 or 3 years ago. They've got an album called Songs of Praise, and I used to listen to that quite a bit. There was a band that we nearly started a few years back, and the drummer from that band mentioned them. I was just like, yes, this is great. I skipped through the album this morning to try and find the track, and there was quite a few tracks that it could have been that it wasn't quite, but it reminded me that what's the track called? Dust on Trial. The first track on the album Songs of Praise, Dust on Trial. It's just like, yeah, I love this, the dark energy that's in this track, and this makes me think yes to Bronze Age kind of stuff. So like, it was good to listen to that. I'm probably going to listen to a lot over the next week or so, but thank you to Niflay for nothing else but other than to get me to listen to that album again. So this is Dust on Trial by Shame. Dust on Trial by Shame, enjoy that. And then what the track that I actually think it is was mentioned by James Collins. So Shyness, Maybe She Will. James Collins interviewed him a few months back. Said, I think it's the melody line from All Apologies, Nirvana. Now, All Apologies, the version that I'm about to play is probably my favourite Nirvana track. I remember hearing this. I genuinely remember the first time I heard Nirvana Unplugged, and just this track just stuck out to me. Completely different from any other Nirvana track, and like it for completely different reasons. And it's not like I dismiss anything else, but this is just resonated with me when I was about 12, whenever I heard it, however old I was when I heard it, and it's just stuck with me. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's filtered through to me just figuring out into a guitar riff, but I'm pretty sure this is that riff. And again, what a track, what any excuse to listen to it. So thank you, James. This is All Apologies from MTV Live Unplugged in New York. That's what it's called. All Apologies by Nirvana to wrap things up. So I hope you enjoyed that playlist. I've got a few bits and bobs coming up. So we've got another Bronze Age rehearsal coming up this week. I've got the studio session on Friday. I really hope I'm going to have something to share with you guys soon, because like, the origins of this podcast, for those that can remember it, was just keeping people updated as to Wing Magma activity, and it was all to kind of build an audience for my music whenever I got it out. But like, it's kind of evolved into me just talking about the music that I'm listening to and what's influencing me, and hopefully some sort of discovery for other people as well. You know, people can be reminded of stuff, introduced to new stuff. So it's evolved somewhat since I started, but totally cool with that. Equally love to have some music to share with you guys. So just to wrap things off, this is where you can find me, at Wing Magma on YouTube, at Wing Magma on Instagram. I've not done anything on TikTok. I really should. I might start putting some riffs up there. The Wednesday Wang playlist, come and follow me on that. And there are 2 versions of the Wing Magma podcast. They've got different branding, but they are essentially the same podcast. One is the radio show version, and one is just the straight up podcast version. Lots of different ways to consume me, lots of different ways for us to interact. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I shall see you all next week. He says next week. Let's try and get back into a rhythm of things. I'll see you guys soon. Take care, yos.